You guys confirmed your 2020 guidance and said on the call that you are expecting to see health systems in major markets kind of starting to come back online for things other than COVID-19 in the second quarter. Are you anticipating a second wave in the fall? Tell us about how you're looking at the year ahead.
Yeah, Meg, great to be here with you. And we were really excited to see our first quarter results. You saw we had very strong sales and core operating income growth, partially helped by the COVID pandemic, but stocking. But if you really look at it, even independent of that, very strong performance. When we look at the dynamics in healthcare systems, I think it's very important for patients and providers that we start to get to a normal rhythm, because one of the hidden costs of this pandemic is patients that need really important care are not getting that care. So our belief is that in our conversations with healthcare systems around the world, that there is a desire for those systems to get patients back in, really try to come up with creative ways to manage the risks with respect to the pandemic, but make sure those patients get that care that they need. So we're optimistic that can happen in the Q2 time period. Now, in terms of future waves, hard to know, of course, but we're optimistic that with all of the knowledge that we've generated on how to treat this virus, how to track the virus, how to take public health measures, that future waves can be managed hopefully better than the first wave to limit the impact on healthcare systems.
And certainly part of the hope for being able to manage future waves better will be to have effective treatments. And Novartis has several that you are running clinical trials on now. And you just announced a new one today of canakinumab, which is an immunomodulatory drug where you'll be running trials. That one is a similar approach to what we saw yesterday from Regeneron, a slightly different target, but still going after that immune response that causes that lung inflammation. What's your expectation on the outlook for that, given the sort of mixed results we saw yesterday?
Yeah, I think first it's a high bar to find effective medicines from repurposed drugs. We know that, but this, of course, is a situation where we need to do everything possible to help patients in the hospital or in the ICU and all of the frontline workers who I think are working tirelessly to try to manage these patients and help the healthcare systems cope. What we believe is that looking at multiple ways of tackling that severe cytokine storm that we're seeing in patients in the ICU is prudent. And it's important to do that with very rigorous trials. I commend the other sponsors of the anti-IL-6 studies, which you mentioned. We believe anti-IL-1 acts further upstream, so perhaps it can impact the cytokine storm a little bit more broadly and hopefully mitigate the impact this is having on patients. With the JAK inhibitor, we have a similar hope. But I think the most important thing for everyone right now is to wait for the results of the adequately powered, randomized, double-blind, controlled studies that will come out over the coming months. There's a lot of studies reading out, but the ones that matter are those gold standard studies. And that will tell us whether we have something in this first wave of repurposed medicines. And then, of course, there's going to be future technologies as well we can look at.
Vas, hi, it's John Fort. There is a proposal floating out there to freeze M&A activity for large companies during this crisis. We were just talking to FTC Commissioner Noah Phillips about it moments ago. Novartis, I believe, just completed an acquisition last week, Ambliotech. What would you think of a proposal like that to freeze M&A activity, and what would its effect be on you?
Well, I think it's important to look, of course, first at different sectors with the appropriate lens. I mean, when you look at healthcare and you look at, our sector, pharmaceuticals, we're in a healthy financial state. We're taking care of our employees. We're contributing to the pandemic response. So I think, we have the opportunity to, of course, continue to look at business development, the development, licensing, and M&A. That said, we also need to be responsible corporate citizens. So if in the end it's determined that the best approach from the U.S. government or other regulators is to limit M&A, we, of course, would abide by it. But we feel at this moment we can do very prudent business development activity that's done in a financially responsible way that serves innovation with technologies like Ambliotech or the innovation we recently acquired in glycerin for cholesterol lowering, and get those medicines to patients faster and more broadly.